Hi, Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. We are from Group 7. Today we are going to present about the role of government cash assistance in increasing domestic demand in Malaysia. Our group have five members, which is me, Siti Khadiza, Nur Aurisha Mimi, and Nur Haiza Hanem, Sasi Kumar, and Nur Fatin Amira. Hi, Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. My name is Siti Khadiza binti Yasir Arpan and my matric number is 306073. So today I'm going to present about background of our assignment topic. Domestic demand play a big role as one of the factors that contribute in economic growth. Economic growth is the most major factor in reducing poverty and improving living standard in developing country. Government cash assistance can bring a strong domestic demand that bring numerous benefits like increasing employment opportunity and encourage investment and reduce dependence on export, which can contribute to a more stable economy. One of the ways the government enhances the domestic demand is through fiscal policy. What is fiscal policy? Fiscal policy is a government policy implemented change in government trade and spending policy so that a stable economic situation can be achieved. The fiscal policy discussed in this assignment is more focused on government consumption expenditure in the form of cash assistance program. In Malaysia, the government provides various cash assistance like Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah, STR, Bantuan Sara Hidup, BSA subsidi bahan api, RON 95, and DSET, subsidi bil electric. The main objective the government provide this cash assistance is because they want to reduce the financial burden of household, improving social well-being, and assist low and middle income groups to achieving a better standard of living. When the household receive cash assistance from the government, their purchasing power improves, allowing them to spend more on various goods and services. This household expenditures can stimulate to increasing in domestic demand.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Haiza Hanem and my matric number is 306020. So, we're going to next slide, which is through discussion of the issue. So, why the government help the consumer? Because of the main factor is the inflation. Latest September 2025 is 1.5 percentage, which is the purchasing power of the people fall, but the people's income remain the same. So even we're still in the safe percentage of inflation, which is um which is 3% below, but this still affect consumer and lack of economic growth. The inflation increased due to COVID-19, which is 4.5% in 2020. So people need financial assistance to survive. The government use a lot of policy, but the main policy that government use is fiscal policy, which is expansionary fiscal policy, cause the government involved in national spending, which is G will increase. Government use fiscal policy make the G increase. So target for the assistance is low income group B40 and M40, extremely poor, senior citizens and singles. So how this action can increase economic growth? Because first of all, when the government give money to the consumer, the consumer income will increase. Then consumer used to buy goods, which is consumption increase, C increase, and the domestic demand increase. And then consumer will spend, which is spending activity increase, and circulations of money increase, and economic growth increase. So uh, next we're going to see assistance provided by other country that same as Malaysian assistance, which is um, we will see three country, which is Thailand, Indonesia, and Singapore. Which is Thailand is use state welfare care, which is SWC, and Indonesia is program Keluarga Harapan (PKH), and Singapore is Assurance Package AP. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, and my name is Nur Aurisha binti Azmi. My number matric is 3059 and 71. So I would like to talk about government policies related to the role of government cash assistance in increasing domestic demand in Malaysia. The first one is fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is a government policy used to manage spending and taxation to influence the country's economy. Since 2020, the policies have been continued under Budget 2025 with the goal of achieving economic growth, stability and improving the well-being of low-income citizens. To boost domestic demand, the Malaysian government implemented an expansionary fiscal policy by increasing public spending through direct cash such as Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah. This assistance helped raise household disposable income, strengthen purchasing power, encourage domestic spending, especially during the post-COVID-19 recovery period. According to the data Ministry of Finance, there is a positive relationship between the government spending and domestic demand. When government expenditure increases, for example on a development project, civil servant salaries, or cash aid, domestic demand will also rise. However, in 2020, domestic demand fell sharply to negative 5.8% despite high government spending, mainly due to the COVID-19 pandemic that it disrupted the economic activity. From 2021 to 2023, both government spending and domestic demand began to recover, proving that fiscal policy has a main role in supporting Malaysia's economic recovery. So now we will move to the next policy, Madani Economic Framework. This policy was introduced 27 July 2023. It's an aim to restructure Malaysia's economy to be more inclusive, competitive and focus on people well-being, not just about a GDP growth. This framework emphasizes wealth redistribution through targeted cash assistance and fair subsidies. For example, the STR program is a part of a framework improved to ensure it reaches the right goal effectively. This growth was driven by a strong domestic demand, tourism recovery, and a continued government support like STR and EPF country withdrawal. Employment remained low at 3.3% and inflation is to 1.8%, showing that Madani Economic Framework is effective in promoting inclusive and sustainable. The social protection policy aims to safeguard welfare citizens, especially to the B40 group and senior citizens, people with disabilities, and those affected by economic crises. The COVID-19 crisis revealed weaknesses of the Malaysian social safety net, such as limited coverage and insufficient assistance. For instance, the poverty is increased from 5.6% to the 8.4% in 2020, and about half to the EPF member had only less than 10,000 ringgit in savings. Also, the coverage has expanded from the poor household to the broader B40 group. The challenge remains ensuring that assistance is still adequate and impactful. Overall, the Social Protection Malaysia plays a crucial role in supporting domestic demand and complement other national frameworks such as Madani Economics Framework, emphasize inclusive and equitable economic growth.
Well, for my part, it's a comparative analysis of different financial aid programs in South Asia, focusing mainly on Malaysia and how it compares with their other countries like Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand. First, comparison between Indonesia and Malaysia. In Indonesia, the program is called PKH, which is Program Keluaran Harapan. It's a conditional cash transfer or CCT. This means the aid is only given if certain conditions are met. For example, children must attend school and family must go to health checkups. The main purpose of this program is to invest in long-term human capital, meaning Indonesia is focusing improving the welfare of future generation. The short-term demand boost is secondary. The main goal is sustainable long-term development. In contrast, Malaysia's program Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah, which is STR, is an unconditional cash transfer or UC. This means the aid is given directly with no condition or restrictions. The goal is different. Malaysia aims for immediate economic stimulus, boosting short-term consumption through higher spending. Well, let's look at Thailand's State Welfare Card, which is SWC, compared to Malaysia's STR. Thailand's program is known as a restricted unconditional cash transfer. Beneficiaries receive money through an e-card, but they can only spend it at certain registered stores. This approach gives the government more control, but studies have found that spending restrictions and debt repayment issues the multiplier effect. meaning the program's impact on economy is quite limited. Meanwhile, Malaysia's STR has fewer restrictions, so the money circulates faster in economy, giving a stronger immediate boost. Well, for the comparison between Singapore and Malaysia, Singapore's program is called the GST voucher (GSTV). It's a targeted fiscal offset designed to reduce the burden of the goods and service tax. It includes cash transfer, utility rebates, and health top-ups. But it's not meant to stimulate demand like Malaysia's STR. Instead, it's a stabilization tool helping low and middle income households cope with higher living costs. So, while Malaysia uses STR to boost spending, Singapore's GSTV mainly helps to maintain economic balance and affordability. Finally, here is a summary of the main findings. Malaysia's STR, unconditional cash transfer for immediate stimulus. For Indonesia, PKH, conditional cash transfer focusing on long-term human capital. Singapore's GSTV is a fiscal offset to manage tax and cost of living impacts. Finally, Thailand's SWC restricted unconditional cash transfer with limited stimulus effect. Overall, each country's approach reflects its economy's priorities, whether short-term recovery or long-term investment or cost living
Hi,
stability.
my name is Nurfata Amira binti Abdul Rahman and my meeting number is 306395. I will share our team personal reflection on the Rahmah Cash Contribution or STR and its a role in supporting Malaysia domestic demand. STR is the one of Malaysia key fiscal policy tool. It is both a social welfare program and macroeconomic measure to stabilize the economy during challenging time. Which Malaysia facing inflation and global uncertainties, direct cash assistance give household extra purchasing power, support spending and helping prevent economic slowdown. How the STR support the economy? I think STR is flexible and non-conditional, allowing recipients to use the based on their needs. Most benefit are from the B40 group, who have the high tendency to spend around 0.8 to 0.95. This create a multiplier effect. From every 1 ringgit given, GDP can increase by 4 ringgit to 5 ringgit. STR strengthens consumer spending, maintaining economic activity and help household job during difficult comparison and improvement. One limitation is the lack of control. Some recipients may spend on non-essential items, reducing long-term impact. Programs like MyKasih help by allowing possessions on essential at the registered store, making spending more controlled. Thailand state welfare card system is another example of an efficient monitor approach. Malaysia could consider an STR e-wallet combining freedom to spend with a better monitoring from sustainability and transparency. Okay, personal reflection and conclusion. I believe STI is essential for empowering low-income households, reducing inequality and support inclusive growth. With the digitalization and monetary improvement, STR can be more effective in ensuring at generate productive spending while meeting social welfare goals. In short, STR is more than just financial aid. It's a combined social welfare with economic stabilization, helping Malaysians maintain domestic demand, support business, and the boost recent economy.
In
Thank
short,
you. That's all.
government cash transfers has proven to be an important instrument in driving Malaysia's domestic demand and ensuring economic stability. Through programs such as Sumbangan Tunai Rama (STR) and other fiscal measures, the government has succeeded in increasing household purchasing power, particularly among the B40 and M40 groups. This increased spending capacity has stimulated economic activity and contributed to overall GDP growth. Introduction of the Civil Economic Framework and Social Protection Policy reflects the government's commitment to creating a more inclusive and equitable economy. By redistributing wealth and providing targeted financial assistance, the policy not only reduces the burden of the cost of living, but also support long-term social and economic resilience. However, continuous improvements are needed in the implementation process to ensure efficiency and accountability. The integration of digital systems such as MyKase and the STR e-wallet will increase transparency and ensure that aid reaches the right recipients effectively. Government cash transfers do not only act as a short-term relief measure, but also serve as a catalyst for sustainable growth, inclusive development, and strengthening Malaysia's economic resilience in the long term.